open up some productivity potential. The folks at OnePlus sent the new Open my way to take on a test drive and share some thoughts, and I'm not reviewing it. At least I'm not reviewing it yet. Not in this video. We just cleared the embargo. Because I think it's boring when all the launch videos are kind of the same overview style reviews of a phone that was mostly used running pre-release software. We just got a little update a couple days ago. I feel OnePlus is always graded on a less than generous curve when looked at during embargoes. So I'm teaming up with my buddy TK Bay to split this conversation into two parts. He's checking out more of the entertainment and gaming performance, and I'm looking at getting some work done when you're out on the go. Because the OnePlus Open can get some work done. I've really enjoyed Oppo hardware of late, and this is another mini tablet that helps push me a next step towards finally letting go of my Surface Duos. A build that facilitates the portability conversation. It's shockingly light, weighing close to what a larger slate phone would weigh. The outer display is going to be more familiar for folks used to these 19 and 20:9 aspect ratios. I still feel manufacturers need to do a better job of presenting their folding phones in ads to show what the expected use and what conditions make sense for a product like this. I'm still going to be really conservative in my recommendation. It's a phone when you're out and about, and it should only be a tablet somewhere safe. My office might not be that safe. But boy howdy, what a fun little tablet it is. Now this inner display is almost perfectly square, so orientation isn't as precious a concern for me as it might have been on the Pixel Fold or Galaxy Z Folds. There is a crease and it does reflect light, but this is the evolutionary improvement I've been hoping to see. It's noticeable, but it's less noticeable than Google or Samsung's crease. And it runs in an orientation where it will most likely separate two apps when multitasking. That's been a big deal for me on previous foldables. I want Android and tablets to get better at multitasking. Now, a single large canvas is fine, but you often won't get more on your screen in mobile apps. The Duos are still champs at living in two apps at the same time, but our plastic screen foldables are improving significantly in that regard. OnePlus promoting clever additions to the taskbar helps reinforce that idea. It's not revolutionary, but the little app drawer icon here to drag an app immediately into split screen modes, that's a very nice consideration. And the recent shortcut is surprisingly robust. Not just for Google or OnePlus apps, there's decent compatibility for a lot of messaging and document services. A floating pop-up list of files quickly accessed here, and it's more like a desktop PC file explorer. I maybe peed myself just a little bit when I was able to drag and drop audio into my favorite audio editor. Not to be indelicate. Those design tweaks make a big difference in a mobile app. If you want to edit an audio file, what you usually have to go through is the app's file manager, navigate through a dialog, then open a file in the app. On a proper computer, you just drop the file in and go to town. This works more like a computer, and a dig it. Maximizing screen real estate is also something OnePlus is trying to tackle with gestures. I don't believe anyone has really nailed it just yet. I prefer a more Windows 11 style traditional computer kind of layout, or something like Motorola Ready 4 or Samsung DeX on a larger screen. Mini tablets are a different kind of challenge though, especially when we're going square like this. OnePlus is trying to drag Android apps into the modern multitasking era, and their custom solution works more frequently than it fails, but when it fails, it's really annoying. Split screening for two apps makes total sense, but then I like how they're trying to expand the canvas for three apps. And then you can kind of tap between or grab these little handles to reorient the apps, or you do kind of a 4-finger pinch so that you can see all the apps at the same time. Pinch again to go back into a 2-app view. It works pretty great. OnePlus is using a custom layer for the UI. It's in between the app and the operating system to tell the app what size and shape the screen is, kind of tricking the app into different aspect ratios. The problem is a lot of mobile apps are still too dumb to handle those alternative views. I ran into a major bummer just trying to fire up a couple games and split screening with a video playing. One of my favorite things to do with LG phones. On the Open, it rarely worked well. Every video streaming app has its own flavor of aspect ratio and orientation. The app works in portrait and then the video streams in landscape. So if you're in split screen while selecting the video plays in a ridiculously tiny letterboxed portrait orientation. And then a lot of games and some document apps couldn't figure out other rotation or orientation views, so you end up with some really funky formatting. I would highly recommend going into the developer settings to force resizing for all apps, and even then, the user needs to remember the order of opening an app and then split screening. For example, if you want landscape views for watching a video and editing a document, you have to be playing the video first, and then you drag a document onto the screen. Once the apps are side by side, I haven't found a way to change that orientation. So someone please correct me down in the comments if I'm just missing something here, or if there's a way to flip apps once they're already on your screen. And then just another little bit of silliness, I want to show this. In some video streaming apps like Netflix, if we go into a bent mode, flexing the screen, Netflix knows to push the video to half the screen so that you can see this propped up better. VLC works similarly for videos that are stored on your phone, but Plex doesn't know what to do. It just sort of keeps the video in the middle of your screen, so you can't have part of your screen just dark. And then the funniest one is the OnePlus photo gallery. So I shot some videos of some XR glasses. I'm gonna play this, and then when I try to bend the screen, it doesn't know what to do in its own Photos app. I totally get it on a third-party app, but the OnePlus gallery that's kind of silly. Like I said, I don't think any company has really nailed all the little lifestyle aspects of making a folding mini tablet. It's the Wild West for foldables still, and this is exactly the kind of experimentation I would hope to see, and also the discovery of all the things that we still need to work on. Some of this stuff works great, some of it still needs a little bit of polish, and some of it will totally fail and be replaced by something better. Because what I can't fault here is the performance. With so much custom code going on in this UI, and after my early experiences with the OnePlus 11 and OnePlus tablet, I was worried we'd get another partially restricted device. Like, it's cool, we get a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, that's a powerful chip, but the OnePlus 11 can't use that power if the rest of the hardware and software doesn't support more power user features. Maybe that's okay for the lower price on the OnePlus 11, but we want a phone this expensive to expand and fill the roles of other products. It should be able to displace other computing devices like game consoles and laptops. On the OS side, I'm very happy that the high performance mode is not only maintained, but OnePlus is delivering one of the most powerful mobile products I've reviewed this year. That's kind of incredible for a foldable. Beyond useless Geekbench and Antutu scores, real world work is hanging with and outpacing the most powerful slate phones I've tested this year, consistently near the top of my charts for video rendering, audio mixing, file compression, and batch photo processing. I'll publish my new charts on my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy, with a few more comparisons. It's easy for us to say, well, it's expensive, it should be the bestest. But that's not how folding phones work. You actually get less surface area to dispel heat. And a lot of the time that you use it, it's closed and becoming a sandwiched, heat-soaked double-thick phone. Even Samsung has given up on letting users toggle a high-performance mode. So what OnePlus has done here is really impressive. Not just high performance for a foldable, but legit competitive against every other premium phone I've tested. And the other major perk, something all our premium and mid-ranger phones should have by now, proper video out through the USB port. Hooking up a monitor or some fun XR glasses, and we can further expand the use of this gadget. Don't we all feel like there's something in the air right now as techies and consumers are looking for what's next after the smartphone? I like the idea of giving people more screen to work with, but I can also plug in projector glasses and work off a huge display if I want to. Unfortunately, the Android 13 desktop mode is still unusable, and it does that thing where it'll nuke your home screens on the phone if it crashes. You might be wondering why I have nothing on my home screens, and it was because I was literally testing out the desktop mode before shooting this video, and I just didn't feel like putting all of my apps and widgets back, which is kind of a bummer. But there's still a lot you can do with screen mirroring. LumaFusion, for example, includes an external display mode, and every now and then I'll have it connected to a monitor and a floating app window will show up full screen on an external display, separate from the phone display, but I can't figure out how to make that happen consistently. Again, if you know what the order of events are, please drop me a comment. But it's incredibly useful for a number of high-level use cases. We just need better support for screen awareness. If OnePlus can tweak apps to run on a rectangular screen or a square tablet screen, we should hope that maybe someday they'll be able to tell apps to run on a 16:9 monitor or TV. This is still a situation manufacturers might need to just circumvent app developers. Think about how long it's taken to get some token support from Facebook to use Instagram on tablets. And Instagram on a larger screen is still hot garbage. Like, especially when you compare it to how elegant Flickr has become over the last several updates. Flickr is doing this better for tablets. But I digress. So here's the deal. My bias is get more use out of your phone. It's likely that a phone is already someone's primary communication computer, the first thing people reach for when messaging and looking for some kind of entertainment. I think more and more people would be pleasantly surprised by their phone's ability to get real work done, and folding mini tablets are one aspect of that discussion in practice. Because aren't we tired of techies that just shrug this stuff off? You've heard in countless videos that smug assessment on tablets. Tablets? Tablets are solutions in search of problems. I'm quite learned. And then they kind of sit back like they've delivered some sage-like condemnation of the product segment. There's lots of back patting. They said something quippy and pithy, but they also seem ill-equipped to actually follow up that comment. All computers, all of them, are solutions in search of problems. So what problems can a tablet solve? When I'm traveling, I've left my laptop at home since the days of the LG V20. Look around at an airport and see all the shapes that people bend themselves into to use a laptop at the gate or on a tiny little airline tray table. Think about how much space hardware takes up in your bag. I have this to write my scripts and update my spreadsheets on the go. I don't have to take it out of my backpack at security. And there are fewer and fewer areas where I feel the mobile versions of our services really hold us back. I know techies love to point out the more fringe and obscure areas where there can't be a perfect one-to-one feature parity with a proper desktop operating system. But then why are we crouching all of our reviews on this lazy notion of the average consumer? But I digress again. I'm getting to a conclusion here, I promise. The main issue at this stage of the conversation is still price. I think OnePlus is delivering a bold offering, slightly undercutting the Pixel Fold and pairing it with some solid trade-in deals. There's a lot of confidence in that approach, and I think the hardware backs it up. I really like the Google form factor and software on the Pixel Fold, but dollar for dollar, the OnePlus is just a beefier machine with better radio performance and better battery life to boot. The Z Fold 5 is a more competitive option in this productivity conversation with S Pen support and DeX. I love DeX, but the Z Fold is heavier, slower, and costs more to match the storage. And it's totally just a personal preference coming from Duos and LG dual displays. I just prefer the screens and the hinge on the OnePlus. But at the end of all of this, we're still in ultra premium price tiers, and that makes recommendations more specific. I still can't broadly or casually recommend foldables to a consumer base that isn't well educated on the pros and cons of adding a hinge to a phone. Tech fans love watching videos about this stuff, like car enthusiasts who watch tons of videos on hyper exotic sports cars. But we're 5 generations into the Z Fold, and when I open a Duo, a Pixel, or a OnePlus in front of the parents at my daughter's school, most of the reactions are shocked or surprised. I still can't just say, hey, this is fun, you should try one, when I see someone using an iPhone with a cracked screen who still has a year left on their contract. A foldable demands the user change their behavior. So there are people out there who are a great fit for what OnePlus is doing here. Educating consumers and finding those perfect fit users is still a bit of a challenge. Happily, unlike Google right now, the OnePlus Open is the best of the OnePlus ecosystem in one device. Now, my Pixel Fold performs a little poorer than a Pixel 7 Pro. And for the price of a Fold, you can get a Pixel 8 Pro and a Pixel tablet with some cash left over. The Open is more expensive than a OnePlus 11 and OnePlus tablet combined, but the Open sells in a higher storage configuration than the phone or tablet, includes video out through the USB-C port, outperforms the 11 and the tablet, and I haven't even touched on the cameras, as the Open outperforms the OnePlus 11 for photography too. You're paying a premium, but you're not really asked to make many compromises in the OnePlus ecosystem. I'm very positive on this direction. And it's really through no fault of the current generation of foldable phones. I think the next major challenge is getting more consumers up to speed on what these things can do. And of course, polishing up some of the little software and lifestyle issues we still encounter. Happily, if you want to get some work done, these things can really get some work done. So stay tuned, folks. There's a lot more to dig into. My pal TK Bay is covering more gaming and entertainment. I'll link that video in the description below. I'll be doing a full camera deep dive on the Open, and we're definitely going to be working some closer comparisons with Samsung, Google, and Oppo very soon. I might even trot out the Duos again just for another follow-up video. Who knows? And of course, I want to hear from you. What do you think the killer app? What's the killer app you see for foldables? The thing that would get more folks interested in trying out a mini tablet. Drop those tasty hot takes down below and maybe smash that bell icon on your way down. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, and subscribing to the channel. All the support lately has been amazing. Those of you catching my home site, SomeGadgetGuy.com, maybe clicking on links in those descriptions, or joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon. That's patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically the coolest collection of tech pals in the universe. And they get exclusive access to my camera deep dive videos when I finally get around to producing them. They're really good people, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically across all of social media, but these days I'm spending a bit more time on the Mastodons, a little less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Twitters, and I will catch you all on the next video.